Good morning. Our service today draws on wisdom from the Jewish tradition's high holy days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Following that tradition, we are called to worship today by the shofar, the ancient ram's horn trumpet. Welcome to the Sunday morning service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende. I'm Kathy Canepa, and I'm honored to be your service leader today. We're so glad you're with us in community this morning. We are a nurturing community, inviting you to bring your whole self, your full identity, regardless of your religious tradition or lack of one, your race, culture, gender identity, or sexual orientation. You are welcomed here with open arms. The central message of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and Yom Kippur is we can heal and transform ourselves and society. In Judaism, tefillah means mirror as well as prayer. To pray is to mirror within, see ourselves as we really are. The shofar commands our attention, cutting through our complacency, sounding a call to spiritual reawakening as the new year begins. This allows us to do the deep inner work and reparation needed to return to our highest selves, and to explore and commit to the changes and reparations needed in our society so we can be partners in the ongoing evolution of the universe toward love. The shofar has a lot to teach us. In the words of Lisa Rappaport, "Make of me a living shofar. May I be like the shofar, humble, able to arch, bending, returning to my source, spiraling back to the origin, though wiser, softer, kinder. May the shofar teach me to follow all the notes in my life, those whole and coherent, along with those fractured, quivering, distressed, gathering and reshaping all of them into a resounding blast of wholeness. May the shofar teach me about relationships, expressing when I need to, but more often listening with an open heart to the unique sounds, to the soul cries of my brothers and sisters. Shofar, help me find the simplest voice inside that expresses truth, that speaks kindness, that sings a song of love." And now we light the chalice, a symbol of Unitarian Universalism, with these words. May this flame kindle the hope in our hearts that will help us to see the way in the coming year. May we be thankful for the light which dwells within each of us if we will look inward and seek it. And in the coming year, may our attempts to know truth and do justice be fruitful. And now I'm delighted to introduce Judith Jenya. She is a valued member of this Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, as well as the Jewish community of San Miguel. She holds a Juris Doctor degree, a Master of Social Work, and a Master of Fine Arts in Teaching. An attorney, a psychotherapist, and an educator, she was named International Humanist of the Year in 2002, nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for work as founder, director of Global Children's Organization and programs for children in the war-torn Balkans and Northern Ireland. She lives with her husband, Mark, here in San Miguel. She's a gifted painter and a poet and is active in community work. And now to Judith.
Good morning. I am so happy to be with you here today, and I'm pleased to share some of the Jewish High Holy Day and our special music. The meaning of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are intertwined. Both call us to consciousness and right action at the start of the Jewish New Year. 2,000 years ago, Rabbi Hillel said, "If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when?" The starting place is within. We turn inward and we see that we are a mixture of light and dark. We possess powers for good and evil. Today we judge ourselves, we choose. We can change the character of our lives. On Yom Kippur, we look inward and seek to rectify our mistakes. The Hebrew word teshuvah means to turn as well as to repent. Teshuvah implies a turning, to examine the inward reality of who we are, spiritually as well as intellectually. Tzedakah means to do justice and bring righteousness into the world. But how can we bring justice into the world if there's injustice within us? It is our work in these days of awe to turn to the work of justice and righteousness within ourselves so that we can bring justice to the world. This is the starting place. We are now going to hear the music called Avinu Malkeinu. This is a beautiful appeal sung during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It means our Father, our King, the two words in this appeal. It asks for our basic and most crucial needs as human beings, particularly in times of uncertainty and when we feel life is out of control. The English translation of Avinu Malkeinu is this: "Hear our voices. We have strayed from our values. Have compassion on us and our children. Rid us of disease, war, and hunger. Rid us of every oppressor and adversary. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for good in the book of life. Avinu Malkeinu, make this a good new year for us. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voices."
Avinu Malkeinu, Good morning. I'm Bonnie McDowell, a member of the board. Welcome. If you're joining us for the first time today and you'd like to learn more about our fellowship, please contact Chris Chase in the email in the chat box or send her a private chat right now. If you are considering making this fellowship your spiritual home, there is information about membership on our website, UUFSMA.org. We invite you to join one of our weekly discussion groups on Zoom. You can read about them in the order of service. And for more information, contact Deanna Amaya at the email in the chat box. The Sunday Service Committee welcomes your feedback on this service. If you have thoughts to share, please contact Kathy Canepa at the email in the chat box. Our Zoom breakout room discussions after the service are very popular. They're great places to reflect on the service and to meet old and new friends. To participate, just stay connected and you'll be randomly assigned to a small group right after the music ends. Be sure to accept your room assignment on Zoom. If you wind up in a room with only one or two people, sit tight for a minute and Dan will reassign you to another group. At the end of the service, we'll post a question to kick off your discussion. We're having another Zoom training class this Wednesday, September 30th at 11:30 Central Time. Our administrator, Deanna Amaya, and our audio tech wizard, Diego Vargas, will help you improve your internet connection and understand Zoom basics. Everyone's welcome to sign up. Just be sure that you get your time zone correct. Please contact Deanna by Tuesday noon to register for this free tutorial class. UUers are concerned about keeping students in school during this pandemic. Here are 2 things you can do without spending a peso. 1, donate an old laptop. Details about how to do this are in last week's newsletter. And 2, order from Amazon Smile. Amazon will donate 0.5% of your US Amazon purchases to go to the charity of your choice. And you can choose either Mujeres en Cambio or Jóvenes Adelante from the list. It may seem like you're giving a small amount, but it will add up if many of us do it. We are still collecting photos for the Day of the Dead altar, which will be online before, during, and after our Day of the Dead service on Sunday, November 1st. We hope you will share your photos of those you wish to remember. Instructions for sending your photos are in the chat box and in the newsletter. Also in the newsletter this week is part 6 of the series, Our Magic Fellowship. In this week's article, 3 recent recipients of grants from our Social Action Committee tell us how our fellowship grant monies are currently used and how they would use additional funding should it be available. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet? It's free, and there are growing numbers of video recordings of Sunday services like this one and other UUF-sponsored events posted there. Go to youtube.com and search for UUFSMA to check it out. And now a few words from our fellowship's COVID-19 task force. We are a group of doctors, nurses, social workers, and care team members with experience we hope will be helpful during the current pandemic. The number of new cases of COVID-19 in San Miguel is still going up, not down. And as Dr. Fauci said recently, we need to hunker down and get through this fall and winter because it's not going to be easy. You may have heard that there's an outbreak of COVID-19 at Alma, the nursing home in San Miguel. They had made excellent preparations for handling such a possibility, but were very short of personal protective equipment supplies. The COVID-19 Facebook group asked the community to step up, and money was raised very quickly to purchase and deliver medical masks, gowns, and other supplies, enough for the next 6 weeks. Thank you to all who participated. Some of you asked last week for guidance about traveling, especially flying. Is it safe to fly? The CDC says clearly travel increases your chance of getting and spreading COVID-19. There are just too many risks involved. Getting to the airport, waiting in line, sitting in an enclosed space for the length of the trip, getting your bags. At every step, there are people around you, a few of whom are likely contagious with COVID. They don't know it. The airline can't possibly know it, but you are sharing air with them. Is everyone else taking maximum precautions? No. Can you protect yourself 100%? No. You might even be the one with COVID-19 bringing it to a new location and to the people you visit. But if you really must fly, you can improve your safety in several ways. Choose an airline which is using alternate seats. Choose a window seat. Wear an N95 mask and maybe also a face shield. Wipe down your area and sanitize your hands. Don't eat or drink on the plane. Keep your mask on. Use restrooms very carefully. And when you get where you're going, however you travel, of course, you'll need to quarantine for 14 days to be sure you didn't get infected on the trip. And that means really staying isolated. No close contact with anyone at the new location. Maybe you'd be better off staying home. This pandemic is a long distance event with no finish line in sight. We have no idea when it will really be over or even what that means. It's stressful to look into the unknown and feel unable to make realistic plans for the future. One way we can help ourselves cope is to stay grounded in the present moment. Take the best possible care of yourself today. Take the most careful precautions today. Please don't give in to the temptation to socialize unsafely. You might get lucky this time, but next time could be the time you and your friends get sick with potentially very serious consequences. And finally, we remind you to consider how you'll be getting your flu shot. Please contact the doc or clinic you plan to use so they can include you in the count for their vaccine order. Details were in last week's newsletter, and we will update you as more information comes in. Stay safe, everyone.
Please join Kathy and me, in reciting our spoken covenant, which should appear on your screen momentarily. We respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio. Our covenant describes our values and goals. As a UU fellowship, we try to put these into practice. In addition to caring for each other and producing Sunday services like this one, we care about our surrounding community. This year, over 50% of our budget has supported local nonprofit organizations serving Greater San Miguel de Allende, assisting children, the poor, elderly, deported Mexican nationals, and migrants in providing health care, educational opportunities, homes, nutrition, and clean water. As a fellowship, we are self-supporting and rely on contributions from members, friends, and visitors to sustain our work. If you enjoy these services, please understand that they are not fully paid for by membership pledges. So, during the upcoming 2-minute pause or following musical selection, or immediately after the service, please go to our donate link, which you can find right now in the chat box or at our website, UUFSMA.org. That's UUFSMA.org. You may use PayPal or any credit or debit card to donate any amount. You may indicate in the notes section if you want your donation to go toward the minister's discretionary fund, or you may leave it blank to help meet the expenses of Sunday services like this one, as well as supporting those in need in our community. If you prefer to donate by check or cash, please contact our president, Dan Newspiel, in the chat box or by email for ways to do that. There's a saying that says, "Give until it hurts," but that's all wrong. The saying ought to be, "Give until it feels good." Thank you so much for your generosity.
Welcome. This portion of the service requires your participation. It invites your participation. And as you do so, this time, our actions become sacred. Some of you have emailed joys or concerns to us in advance of today's gathering. They will be named and acknowledged in just a few moments. Others of you may have joys or concerns that you submit right now using the chat box at the bottom of your screen. For each concern, I will drop a stone into this bowl of water. The ripples in the water spread outward. As you hear and hold these concerns and joys in your thinking, in your attention, we multiply the effect. In the United States, just when we thought that the political climate could not get any more bitter and poisoned in the advance of the general election, things have gotten immensely more bitter and poisonous. I've dropped the first stone today for a fragile democracy to be strengthened in the United States and in every nation we hold dear. This stone is for a related concern that elections may have integrity and truly express the will of the people. This stone, a concern, after the failure to indict police officers in the Breonna Taylor killing, we stand in solidarity with those who protest police violence. And we stand with all who affirm that Black lives really matter. Another concern, the coronavirus, as you've heard, is an ongoing concern. The confirmed cases in San Miguel continue to rise. And in the United States, over 200,000 persons have died in the pandemic. So for the loss of those who have died and are no longer among us, I drop this stone. And the stone for hope and healing for those who are ill. And a stone for those who continue to care for the sick and researchers who continue working. And for all of those joys or concerns that are as yet unspoken. We drop this stone and we take these moments to hold them deep in our hearts.
We are now about to listen to a piece of music that is probably the most sacred in the hearts of many of the Jewish people in the world. It's called Kol Nidre, which means all vows. This haunting music is sung or played on the night before Yom Kippur, called Erev Yom Kippur, which happens to be tonight. It is used to disavow any and all oaths taken in the past year or will be taken in the upcoming year. It is believed to have originated in the 7th century when Jews in Europe were forced to disavow their faith. And again, it was widely used during the Inquisition in Spain, Portugal, and Mexico, when Jews were forced to begin to convert or to be killed. And now listen to the phrase, the haunting music of Kol Nidre.
Yom Kippurim Yom Kippurim Yehon Sharon Illinum evut alim.
I am now going to read a piece by a man named Mark Nepo, who wrote "We Are Rare" from his book called The Book of Awakening. We are rare, not perfect, with our hands full of groceries, our heads full of things to do, our hearts full of memories, and our dreams full of plans. We tend to think if we could only get away or finish crossing off the things on that list, if we could only undo what has been done or do what needs to be done, we might then live life more completely or more perfectly. But we are human beings, flawed, colorful beings that eat plans and memories for food. And although we aspire to self-mastery and peace of mind, we are only momentarily whole. These are moments of enlightenment, when the clarity and compassion of centuries arise in us, and we are suddenly more than we are, only to trip on the garbage the very next day, or to say something hurtful the very next minute to the one we love most. I used to think of these come downs as failures, as evidence that I wasn't trying hard enough. And then they would prick me with slivers of inadequacy. I often felt discouraged, as if there were something essential I just couldn't learn. For a while, I felt deeply flawed, but I have come to understand that this is only the earthiness of our human condition. We are in moments pure and ageless as light, and with the very next breath, we drop things or bruise the treasures of a lifetime. We need to soothe ourselves, not blame ourselves. We are rare, not perfect. I'm going to share with you now my thoughts for today's service, entitled Be a Mensch. When I was in Sarajevo in Bosnia during the war in the 1990s, the question people would ask themselves when first meeting someone was, is he or she normalny, a normal person, a good person, a person who thinks and cares about others? Especially in wartime, you wanted to know who you were dealing with. Who are you really? Normalne? Yes or no? A similar word in Yiddish is mensch, a good person. The term mensch literally means a person or man, but is more than that. It is a moral idea for all people, men and women alike. The Jewish high holidays, which end tomorrow with the closing of Yom Kippur, now pose the same question. Only here we ask ourselves, am I normani? Am I a mensch? Am I a good person? During the 10 days of the high holidays, the shofar, the ram's horn, is sounded 100 times in different sequences. This ancient instrument calls us to look deep inside to our essential selves. We ask this question many ways during the 10 days, beginning with Rosh Hashanah and ending with the Day of Atonement or Yom Kippur. We ask forgiveness from those we have harmed. We ask forgiveness for those times we have harmed ourselves and betrayed our higher selves. We ask, when did I fall short? When did I miss the mark? Then we have the opportunity to make the commitment to change or turn from our lesser selves to our better selves. We are living now in these most unnormal times. All around the world, we see leaders who seem not to care about being a good person or behaving like one. As UUs, we regularly ask ourselves, does this policy, this action, this behavior live up to our ethical principles, our commitment to the interdependent web of life, to social justice? If only our leaders ask the same questions. Or to use the Yiddish term, are we behaving like mensches? In my synagogue in California, there was a course called Menschlichkeit. It focused on the values and actions which a good human being will exhibit. The course also explained how we can cultivate these traits in ourselves and teach them to our children. Our humanity is measured against the basic ethics of altruism and is symbolized by human love and compassion. This goes beyond justice and fairness, although those are also essential. The woman that we are all mourning now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, exemplified those qualities of always seeking justice and fairness for all, respecting everyone, and doing this in love and kindness. When you or I look at our lives and we see how to improve upon ourselves and our world, sometimes it takes just putting on fresh new clothing over the old. We can build upon the character we have been creating in ourselves. We simply keep on. We build on the actions of the past year and continue to develop. But in other times, it takes discarding the old clothes and starting anew. Sometimes it is return and renew. Other times it is repeal and replace. We regret failures of kindness, of inattention, things we have done and things we have failed to do. Are my actions life affirming or life exploiting? A mensch is a decent, responsible, caring person. It is a basic orientation to life, being a mensch. In Judaism, there is no higher praise for a person than to be called a mensch. You and I have within ourselves the capacity to act as a mensch. It's part of being human. We just need to raise our awareness of how we show up in our dealings with ourselves and others and ask ourselves, am I proud of who I am? Or who I have become? Am I training myself to do the right thing? Neither Judaism nor Unitarian Universalism are groups that follow a creed. Rather, both are based on right actions and what we do. My rabbi in California says, "Your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying." Right speech. Kind speech is also necessary, but not oaths and false promises or reciting words of a creed. A mensch is decent and honorable and acts honorably. He or she is the same person in public and when nobody is looking. One of the hallmarks of a mensch is empathy, a genuine caring for another person. A mensch, excuse me, always looks to do good, to be part of the community, and helps the community to stick to their values. When you are in the presence of a mensch, excuse me again. When you are in the presence of a mensch, you feel drawn to be your best self. This is someone who has a total absence of artifice. You know that this is someone who would never deceive you, to undermine you, or try to diminish you in any way. In short, you and I can step into the role of a mensch if we want to. People will notice. People can see if you are compassionate, generous, and kind. At the close of the high holidays comes the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. Once a year, we reflect on our actions of the past year. We take responsibility for our actions. We know that sometimes we have missed the mark, and rather than wallow in self-accusation or shame, we own it and we commit to change and to take more conscious actions in the new year. This is the time of year to redirect our lives in the direction of truth, love, and kindness, and the work of justice and peace. One of the very practical actions embedded in this tradition is seeking out those we have wronged and ask for forgiveness, making amends, and also forgiving ourselves. Can you now take a moment and give yourself some forgiveness? Think about it for a minute, please. Now, more than ever, the world and our community needs everyone to act and be a mensch. The Jewish tradition has many gifts to share with the world, and this is one of them. A process of self-reflection, a model of excellence, a process for changing direction, a way to set the past behind and move ahead, a way to live as a mensch. Thank you. And now, aren't we? What are we having now?
return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to where you were, return to what you were, return to where you were, born and reborn again. Return to where you were, return to what you were, return to where you were, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Ve'hosher kohanim la'avodo som. U'leviim Lishiram unezimeram V'yoshev koyanim la'avodosom U'leviim lishiram u'lezimeram. Return to where you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return to where you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your
We have just heard Return Again, based on the concept of Teshuvah by Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach, and this is now part of the UU liturgy and in our songbook as well. For our closing words now, as we mourn the passing of the Honorable Ruth Bader Ginsburg, we remember her words. If you want to be a true professional, you will do something outside yourself, something to repair a tear in your community, something to make life better for people less fortunate than you. That's what I think a meaningful life is, living not for oneself, but for one's community. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a true mensch.